Hi, hello everyone. This is RK. Welcome back to my channel Bytecode with RK. If you are new to my channel, please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. For notifications, click on bell icon. If you are looking for the theoretical, please click on the link at the top right corner. In the last session, we have covered a theoretical part. In today's session, we will implement a theoretical part into practical way. To implement in practical way, let's create an interface. So I am creating an interface. The interface name will be interface 1. Let it be interface 1. So I have created interface. Let's write a normal method interface. Void m1 is the method from the interface 1. So from the definition, what is default method means? Default method means if any method in the interface is preceded by default keyword, then that method is called the default method interface. So I have interface 1 and I have method m1. If the method is preceded by default keyword, so default keyword, that method is called the default method interface. Okay, let's write a statement. So the first point from the theoretical point is default methods in interface are by default public. So if we see here, I have a default method m1. Whether you will write a public or not, it's optional for them. By default, the interface understand all the default methods are interface only. So if you put public before the default method, it will not throw any error. So default public is optional for the default methods in interface. Okay, and the second point is write any number of default method interface. So I have written one default method, so I am writing the second one. So you can write any number of default methods, so there is no restriction from the interface side. And the third point is overriding is optional. I have created a normal class and implementing it with a I have created an interface, and I have created an interface with two methods, default methods m1 m2, and I have created a normal class and it is implemented by interface 1. Generally, the principle of interface says if you write any method in interface, right, should override all the abstract methods into the implementation class. Suppose let me write an abstract method void m3. So I have written void m3. By default, this method is abstract method, right? Interface, if you write abstract before the method or not, by default these the methods are abstract only. So I have written abstract method interface. So what it will do, it will force the implementation class. So since I'm implementing interface 1, so it will force the default methods class to implement that abstract method. So add unimplemented methods. Okay, so whereas in case of default methods, right, default methods, it doesn't force the implementation class to override the m1 and m2. So interface doesn't force the implementation class to override default methods in interface. Either if you want to override, you can override, or else you can ignore, you can directly call that method name. Okay, next point is use when changes are minor. These default methods are used for the small changes only, not for the larger changes. Like I have written sysource, right, like that, or else if you want to write a small logic, so that case you can use the default methods in interface. The next point is achieves the backward compatibility. So what will happen if you add new abstract method interface, it will force the all the implementation classes to override this method also. M3 also it will forces the implementation classes to override the M3 method also. So what will happen, it will break the existing functionality of the all the classes, because if you add new abstract method in interface, it will forces all the implementation classes to override that method. So to avoid that one, so they have introduced the default methods in interface. So since default methods are optional in overriding, so you can directly call this default methods, or you can like ignore the overriding. This way we can achieve the bank quality. So what will happen, if we add the abstract method interface, so it will forces the implementation class to override that method. If we add default methods, it will not forces, because default methods are optional in overriding. Either you can override or you can ignore, or you can directly call that as that interface method only. The next one is a diamond problem. So if a class is implemented by two or more interfaces, let's create another interface, because to create the diamond problem we need one more interface, more than one interface. So I am creating an interface named interface 2. uh, so I am simply writing a small statement. So from the definition, so my class is implementing two interfaces, interface 1 and interface 2. So if a class is implemented two or more interfaces, and those interfaces having the same method with the same signature, so I am implementing two interfaces, interface 1 and interface 2, and the interface 2 having m1 method, default method, and interface 1 also default method m1. So both having same name, interface 1 and interface 2 having same name, and also having same signature. It doesn't have any parameters. Here also it doesn't have any parameters. So when a class is implemented two or more interface, and the interface and those interfaces having the same method with the same signature, then we will get that deep diamond problem. So if you see here, it will throw the compile time error, like duplicate default methods m1 with parameters, empty parameters are inherited from the interface to an interface. So what will happen, since two interfaces are implemented by default method class, so it gets ambiguity to which method it should use. So it gets confused to which method it should use or override. So to avoid this problem, the solution to it, override that method. So if you override that method, let's override the m1 method. Let's override the m1 method. So I am overriding the method m1 to avoid the now. If you see, I don't see any compile time error. So it will here it is not showing any error, compile time error. So this way we can avoid the diamond problem. Let's call this one. So creating instance of it and calling dm dot m1. Overriding m1 to avoid the diamond problem. So once you override from interface methods, it will provide the statement whatever written overridden method. So and we so when the diamond problem occurs, if you want to call any specific method, right, so that time you can uh, call that method. Suppose I want to call interface to specific method, so I'm calling interface phase 2 dot super dot m1. So this way we can call when the default method gets confused to call which method. So if you want to call a specific method from the specific interface, you can use this way, you can call this way. And I want to also call interface to sorry 1 dot super dot m2 dot m4. So if you see the output, so initially I am calling creating the reference for the default mes class. So with that reference I am calling m1 method, that is nothing but overriding when the diamond problem occurs. So that statement is printed here, overriding m1 to avoid the default problem, diamond problem. The second one is I am calling m1 method from the interface to, that's why it was showing interface to m1 method. So even I want to call the method from the interface 1 also. So interface 1 m2 method is calling. So interface 1 m2 method is calling. Interface 2, interface 1 m2 method and interface 2 m1 method. So this way we can avoid the diamond problem. That's all about theoretical and practical way of implementing default methods in interface. So please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. For notifications click on the bell icon. Thank you. Let's connect on the next session with a new topic.